Sometimes the person who breaks your heart is the same one who made it feel alive for the first time. Picture this. You're sitting across from someone you care about deeply. Maybe it's a quiet dinner, a walk in the park, or just texting late at night. You smile at them, your heart open, ready. But the way they respond? Cold, distracted, like you're optional, like they're scrolling through a menu and you're one dish of many. That moment, you feel it in your gut, like you're too much and not enough all at once. You walk away with a storm inside, asking yourself, what just happened? Now, my friends, what if I told you something wild? What if you weren't too much? What if you were too caring? What if the problem wasn't you at all? What if they did love you, but they didn't know how to show it? Some people are like radio signals with static. They're sending something, but you can't make it out. They're messy, afraid, maybe even broken inside. They don't know how to hold something real because they've never had something real. Let me take you through a journey many of us are walking right now. Maybe you're in no contact, holding your silence like a sword, waiting to see if they notice the absence. Maybe you're trying to reconnect after rejection, hoping there's still a spark buried under the rubble. Or maybe you've just walked away, heart aching, but your dignity intact. Or you're trying to attract someone without begging, without becoming less, just to be loved more. Wherever you are, this is for you. Relationships are messy. First, there's the magical beginning. Dopamine highs, stolen glances, every message feeling like fireworks. But then come the doubts, the push and pull. The texts get shorter, the effort fades. Maybe you broke up. Maybe they ghosted you. Maybe you walked because you finally said, enough. But here's the trap. Your mind replays it all like a movie on repeat. You start asking, did I ruin it? Do they miss me? Should I say something? That's where Stoicism walks in. Not to make you emotionless, but to give you emotional clarity. You see, the Stoics didn't teach us to numb ourselves. They taught us to own ourselves, to stop handing over our peace to someone else's confusion. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." So maybe they send mixed signals because they're unsure, or maybe they're selfish, or broken, or afraid of what loving you truly means. But that doesn't change you. That doesn't erase your worth. Don't let temporary silence rewrite the truth of who you are. You are not an option. You are not a placeholder. You are not a backup plan. You're a storm and a sanctuary, a masterpiece in progress. And if someone can't see that clearly now, your silence will remind them, or it will make space for someone who does. And hey folks, let's not forget to laugh through it all too. Because sometimes love feels like trying to read Shakespeare through a fogged-up mirror. Makes no sense, right? But we do it anyway. Why? Because love matters. It shapes us. It stretches us. And when we learn from it, it can also elevate us. So whether you're hurting, healing, hoping, or holding back, stay with me. This isn't the end of your story. It's the turning point. Let them figure themselves out. In the meantime, you figure yourself out. Because the truth is, real love doesn't play hide and seek. It doesn't leave you confused. And you don't need to be an emotional detective to feel safe with someone. So here's your reminder. Protect your peace. Choose your value. Own your space. And let go with grace. Write it in the comments, my friends. I choose clarity. And hey, please smash that like button, subscribe, and stay with me, because we're just getting started. Number 1. They're interested, but afraid. The wound is the place where the light enters you. Let that one settle in your chest for a second, my friends. Now picture this. You're in their arms, maybe not physically, but emotionally. They let you in. A few texts a day, a deep conversation, a flicker in their eyes that told you, "I see you." You started to believe this might be different. Then, one day, they pull back. They don't reply for hours. They sound cold. Suddenly, the connection that once felt electric feels like a dying battery. And you're sitting there asking yourself, did I imagine the whole thing? That moment stings like ice water down your spine. You start second-guessing every message you sent, every smile you gave. You wonder if maybe you cared too much, if maybe you should have played it cooler. You replay it like a scene in a film, trying to catch the exact second they lost interest, like you're watching for the moment the sky turned before a storm hit. But what if they didn't lose interest? What if, in fact, they felt too much, and that scared the hell out of them? People don't always pull away because they don't care. Sometimes they pull away because they do. Think about a wild animal raised in a cage. You open the door, offer freedom, love, open fields, and they hesitate. Not because they don't want it, but because they've never tasted it before. Freedom doesn't feel safe when you've only known fear, and love doesn't feel comforting when you've only known survival. This is what we forget, folks. Not everyone was raised on emotional warmth. Some were raised on silence, on inconsistency, on hot and cold. So when you come along, kind, available, grounded, they don't know what to do with it. They flinch at affection like someone who's been burned too many times. They hesitate to hold your hand emotionally, because the last time they reached out, they were dropped. And so they send mixed signals. One day, they open up and you feel like you've cracked the code. The next, they act distant, like you're a stranger in a hallway. It's maddening, right? And this is where fear gets loud in your head too. What if I'm being played? What if they're just not that into me? What if I push again and they leave? Your mind becomes a courtroom with no judge, just endless arguments between hope and fear. Let me break a lie for you right now. It is not always your job to fix the connection. Some hearts are wired with tripwires. Any movement toward closeness sets off alarms they haven't learned to silence. They aren't trying to hurt you. They're trying to protect themselves. Even if the threat is gone, the memory still screams. That doesn't make it okay, but it makes it understandable. And maybe, just maybe, you're not broken for feeling confused. You're aware. You're trying to love with eyes open and a heart still beating after it's been bruised. Now hear this. You are not hard to love, but you might be loving someone who doesn't yet know how to receive love. It's like giving someone a gift they've never seen before. They unwrap it, admire it, but don't know what to do with it. They set it down. They walk away, not because they hate it, but because they're overwhelmed by it. Love can feel like drowning to someone who's never been taught how to swim in it. And my friends, I know what you're thinking. Should I wait? Should I give them space? Will they come back if I just hold on? These are honest questions, and Stoicism doesn't ask you to deny them. It invites you to stand with them, stare them down, and ask, what is in my control? You can't control how broken they are. You can't force someone to heal. You can't hold their hand and their fear at the same time forever. But you can choose to observe, not absorb. You can watch their patterns, not just their promises. You can stop confusing pain with passion. Yes, they might be interested, deeply, but fear is louder than longing, and until they learn to quiet the voice that says love isn't safe, they will continue to self-sabotage. And here's the hard truth. It is not your job to teach someone how to love you. It is your right to be loved in a way that doesn't require constant decoding. So let go of the illusion that you can fix this by being better. You are already enough. You were enough the moment they smiled at you the first time. You were enough the moment they felt something and pulled back because it shook them. You don't need to shrink to make space for their fear. You need to rise in spite of it. Maybe they'll grow. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't. But the way you handle this confusion, it's your mirror. Let it show you who you are when love feels unstable, because that's when you become unshakable. Take a deep breath. This isn't rejection. This is redirection. This isn't your failure. This is their fear. And this isn't the end of your love story. It's the start of you finally writing it in your own ink. So stand tall, own your space. And say it with me in the comments. I am not responsible for someone else's fear. Write it. Show them. Show yourself. Show the world around you that your worth is not tied to someone's confusion. And stay with me, because in the next part, we're digging deeper into what happens when someone wants you, but life keeps getting in the way. It's gonna get real, and it's gonna set you free. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and drop that affirmation in the comments. I am not responsible for someone else's fear. We're just getting started, folks. Number 2. They're distracted by life's demands. If someone tells you they're too busy, it's never about time, it's about priority. Now let's paint a familiar scene, my friends. You're sitting alone on your couch, your phone clutched like it holds your dignity. You stare at the last message you sent, read but not replied to. Hours pass, maybe a day, maybe more. Your mind races through possibilities. Maybe they're at work. Maybe they're exhausted. Maybe something came up. Maybe. They told you they were busy, right? They told you they've got a lot going on. Work deadlines, custody battles, aging parents, personal growth, therapy sessions, or the stress of simply staying sane in a crazy world. And so you understand, because you're kind, you're patient, you give them space, you tell yourself, this is what strong people do. They don't nag, they don't push, they wait. But here's the silent ache. The waiting starts to feel like withering. You find yourself showing up with full energy, and they're giving you breadcrumbs. You plan your day around the possibility of a call. You light up when their name pops up, only to dim again when the message is cold or late or distracted. And somewhere deep inside, a painful question starts to whisper, am I their priority? Or am I just convenient when life slows down? Let's hit the brakes here and get real. Yes, life is overwhelming. Yes, people go through storms. Yes, some of them are genuinely trying to keep their head above water while also building something with you. But folks, here's the deal no one tells you. Even in chaos, people make time for what matters. Even in madness, there's a message. Even in silence, there's a signal. You see, when someone wants you, when they value you, they won't disappear into thin air without explanation. They might not always show up perfectly, but they will show up. They'll fight for connection, even in small ways, because they want to. It's easy to believe the lie. If I just keep being understanding, they'll eventually make room for me. But understanding without reciprocity becomes self-abandonment. Let me hit you with something hard. You're not a side quest in someone else's survival game. You're not here to be penciled into their life after all their stress is managed, laundry folded, therapy finished, and inner child healed. You deserve to be part of the journey, not just the reward after the struggle ends. But the reason this feels so hard, it's because deep down you want to believe they mean well. And maybe they do. Maybe their heart is good. Maybe they think about you when they lay in bed at night. Maybe they're overwhelmed by the weight of the world. But hear me loud and clear. Intent without effort is just another excuse. You can't build a future on potential. You build it on presence. And if their presence only shows up when it's convenient, then what you have is not a relationship. It's an emotional timeshare. Let's go metaphorical for a second. Imagine a beautiful plant, a rare one, delicate but vibrant. You love this plant. You water it when you remember, but most days you're rushing. You set it by the window, but forget to turn it toward the light. You mean well. You want it to grow, but it starts to wilt. That's what it's like loving someone who says they care, but never makes space. The love is there, but it's not fed, it's not tended to, and eventually it shrinks. And what do? We overcompensate. We become the gardener and the sun and the rain. We text first. We accommodate. We become overly available, trying to fill in the cracks their absence leaves behind. But every time we stretch ourselves thin, we abandon the very thing we're trying to protect, our dignity. So what do? We get honest, stoically honest. We zoom out. We ask, are they treating me like a priority or a placeholder? Do I feel safe, seen, steady in this? Do I feel like I'm waiting for them to choose me, or are they choosing me with their effort? Here's what's in your control, my friends. You can stop overcompensating. You can stop being the emotional glue holding a one-sided thing together. You can observe the pattern instead of the promise. You can walk away if presence is always promised, but never delivered. Because love shouldn't feel like standing at the edge of someone's busy schedule, hoping for scraps of attention. You deserve a seat at the table, not a takeaway box. This doesn't mean you need someone to text you every 5 minutes or drop their responsibilities for you. No, that's not love. That's insecurity. But you deserve someone who says, I've got a lot going on, but you still matter to me. Someone who makes space, even if it's imperfect space. Look, being busy is real. Mental health struggles are real. Life stress is real. But if someone has time to scroll, to binge a show, to party with friends, but not check in with the person who matters to them, that's not about life's demands. That's about emotional priorities. And yes, this is where it gets tough, because maybe you love them, maybe you see their goodness, maybe you believe they'll get through it and finally have space for you, and maybe they will. But will you still recognize yourself when they do? Will you still have your strength intact, your boundaries solid, your sense of self unshaken? Or will you have spent so long waiting in silence that you've forgotten what your voice sounds like? This is the hard medicine, folks, but we don't do easy here. We do real. And real love doesn't thrive in confusion. It doesn't grow in excuses. It grows in commitment, in effort, in consistency, not chaos. So here's what I want you to write in the comments, loud and proud. Busy is not an excuse. Say it for the version of you that waited too long. Say it for the version of you that gave too much. Say it for the future you, who will walk into love with eyes wide open. And press that like button if this hit home for you. Subscribe, because next we're talking about the most confusing thing of all. When they like you, you feel it, but they never take it to the next level. It's gonna get deep. Don't miss it. Say it again with me in the comments. Busy is not an excuse. Let the world know. Let yourself know. Let the next person who comes along know. You are not a placeholder. You are a priority. Number 3. They're unsure how you feel. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Let's step into another moment, a scene many of you know too well. You're laughing with them, heart light. There's a spark, no doubt about it. Their eyes hold something when they look at you, something curious, something real. They remember the little things. They find excuses to be near you. You feel it. And then, just as the energy starts to shift, just when you're thinking, this might actually go somewhere, they retreat. Not a full-on disappearance. No, they don't vanish, but they pull back. Subtle, slippery. They don't message as much. They avoid deeper conversations. You notice the change in tone, the hesitation in their voice. It's like someone standing at the edge of a cliff, wanting to jump, but their legs just won't move. So now you're left wondering, did I say something wrong? Am I imagining this connection? Are they losing interest? Or are they just scared? My friends, let's break this down. Even the strongest, most put-together people wrestle with doubt when real feelings show up. You can be successful in every area of life, but when someone touches your heart in an unfamiliar way, suddenly you're 13 again. Awkward, unsure, and terrified to make the first move. This is especially true for those who've been burned before. They've loved and lost. They've misread signs in the past and been humiliated. Maybe they confessed feelings and got ghosted. Maybe they risked vulnerability and were told they were too much or read it wrong. Those scars don't always show on the outside, but they shape the way people move in relationships. Now imagine them standing in front of you with a heart that wants to open, but a mind screaming, "What if I'm wrong again?" They like you. They want to move forward, but they can't tell if you feel the same, and so they freeze. They flirt, then disappear. They get close, then go silent. They build, then suddenly hesitate when things start to matter. It's like watching someone build a beautiful fire, only to throw water on it the moment it starts to get warm. This isn't always disinterest, my friends. Sometimes it's fear wrapped in logic. I don't want to ruin what we have. What if I take a risk and lose everything? I'll wait for them to make the first move. And then you start shrinking. You start playing it safe too. You start texting less, being less direct, mirroring their distance to avoid looking desperate. You start telling yourself, I won't give too much. I won't get hurt again. Now both of you are just two people hiding behind fear, each waiting for the other to be brave. And here's where the Stoic wisdom kicks in. You can't control how someone feels, but you can control how you show up. So ask yourself, are your signals clear? Do you flirt, then backpedal? Do you open up, then go cold when they start getting closer? Sometimes the very thing we want, we also fear. Love is terrifying when it's real, especially when it's mutual, because now there's something to lose. And look, you're not obligated to chase someone into clarity. You're not required to keep explaining yourself to someone who constantly pulls away. But if someone shows up consistently, if they try, if they only freeze at the edge of deeper commitment, it might not be rejection. It might be that they're just unsure of you. Yes, you. Because we've all been taught to play games, to be cool, to not care too much, to be desired, but not vulnerable. We learn to hide our feelings like they're flaws instead of bridges. But here's the thing. Emotional safety is built by emotional courage. And someone has to go first. Someone has to say, "Hey, I like you. I feel something here. Do you feel it too?" Not in a needy way, not in a begging way, but in a grounded, calm, clear way. And if that feels scary, good. That means it matters. Being clear doesn't mean overgiving. It doesn't mean chasing. It just means not playing defense with your own heart. It means saying, "Here's where I stand. You don't have to stand here too, but now you know." Because here's the danger. When you don't express what's real for you, people assume it's not there. They assume you're just being nice. They assume you're not that into them. They assume they're imagining the connection. So they pull back. You pull back. And something that could have been real dies, not from rejection, but from silence. This is your choice now. You can continue to match their hesitation, or you can rise above it. You can stay in that safe zone of almost love and almost clarity, or you can be the one who dares to light the match. And maybe they won't rise with you. Maybe they'll stay stuck. Maybe they'll let their fear win. But at least you'll know you showed up. You stood in your power. You didn't hide your heart like it was a weakness. The Stoics didn't teach us to be emotionless. They taught us to be courageous with our minds and our actions. And there is no greater courage than showing your heart and being okay whether it's held or not. So, let's put it in real terms. If someone is unsure, don't chase. Be still. Be clear. Let them choose. Let them meet you in that honesty, or let them drift away into the noise of their own indecision. Either way, you'll be standing tall. You'll be aligned with truth. You'll be choosing your peace over someone else's paralysis. Say it with me in the comments right now. I will not shrink for clarity. Show the world. Show yourself. Let this be the moment you stop dimming your light because someone else forgot their sunglasses. And stay with me, because next we're diving into something powerful. That overwhelming moment when someone does feel something deep, and it shocks them to their core. Oh, it gets real. But for now, hit that like button if this made something click. Subscribe, because this journey is about peeling back the truth, one real conversation at a time. And don't forget to write it below. I will not shrink for clarity. Let's go deeper together. Number 4. They've never felt this before, and it overwhelms them. Some people feel the rain, others just get wet. Let's talk about the rain, my friends. Not the gentle kind that taps on your window while you sip tea, but the kind that hits without warning, soaking, storming, shaking everything loose. Now picture this. They meet you. Maybe it started casually. Light flirting, subtle compliments, a magnetic pull. They seemed confident, even charming, like someone who's done this dance before. You thought, this one knows what they're doing. But then something happened. It got real. They looked at you one day, maybe in the middle of a laugh or during a quiet moment, and something clicked in their eyes. And suddenly, the air shifted. They didn't say it, but you felt it. This wasn't just attraction anymore. It was different, deeper, unfamiliar, a spark that touched something raw in them. And that's when it began, the retreat, the silence, the overthinking, the sudden shift from warmth to cold, from present to distant. They were right there, and now they're gone, or halfway gone, tangled in some invisible thread of confusion. You're left standing in that emotional rainstorm, whispering to yourself, "What did I do wrong? Was it too much, too fast? How did we go from so connected to so quiet?" And here's the truth that hits hard. You didn't do anything wrong. They just never felt this before, and it scared the hell out of them. You see, most people think they're ready for real love until it shows up wearing no mask. Real love holds a mirror to your soul, and not everyone is ready to look. It's not just about butterflies and sweet texts. It's about being seen, really seen. And for someone who's spent their life armoring up, avoiding vulnerability, and playing it safe emotionally, that level of exposure feels like standing naked in a snowstorm. So they freeze. They don't know how to handle the depth. And instead of leaning in, they lean out. They call less. They pull back. They suddenly need space, and you're sitting there trying to solve a riddle that wasn't yours to begin with. Let me say it loud and clear. Their emotional confusion is not your fault. But this is where many people, maybe even you, start shrinking. You become quieter, afraid to push them away further. You try to become easier, less intense, more low maintenance. You play cool when all you want is clarity. You think, if I just wait quietly, maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe they'll come back better, clearer. And sometimes they do, but often they don't. Or worse, they come back with the same storm still raging inside them, and you end up dancing in circles, chasing a connection that never truly stabilizes. Listen to me, my friend. What confuses them does not have to confuse you. Let their retreat be a signal, not a sentence. Let it be information, not devastation. Let it show you where they are emotionally, not where your worth lives. Because the person who's overwhelmed by their feelings isn't your enemy. They're just not your anchor right now. They're still at war within themselves, and if you try to save them, you'll drown too. Here's what happens when someone feels something they've never felt before. They panic. They compare it to every past experience. They try to fit it into a box that feels safe. But love, real love, doesn't come with instruction manuals. It comes with fire, with awakening, with the kind of emotional electricity that short-circuits old defenses. Imagine someone living their whole life in black and white, and suddenly meeting you brings color. At first, it's beautiful. Then it's blinding. They close their eyes, not because the light is bad, but because they're not used to seeing this much of it. And you? You're stuck wondering if your brightness was a burden. But here's the lesson. Never dim your light, hoping someone else will adjust their eyes. If someone needs time to process, let them. Let them go into their cave. Let them wrestle with their walls. But don't pause your life. Don't sit in emotional limbo, waiting for someone to grow up emotionally. Don't shape-shift into a less intense version of yourself to make them more comfortable. You don't need to be smaller to be lovable. You just need to be seen by someone who's ready. And maybe, just maybe, they will come back, eyes wide open, heart in hand, ready to meet you where you are. But if they don't, you will still be whole. You will still be worthy. You will still be powerful. The Stoics teach us to stay grounded, to control only what we can and release the rest. And this right here, This is your practice. You can't control how someone handles deep feelings. You can't control whether they stay or run. But you can control how you hold your heart through their chaos. So stand firm. Let them go if they need to. Let their silence speak. And let their overwhelmed heart show you one thing. They are not ready for the depth you bring. That's not rejection. That's a revelation. And here's something beautiful. Someone out there is longing for the depth you offer. They're waiting for someone who loves without games, who shows up fully, who doesn't hide behind fear. But you won't find them by hiding yourself. So stop shrinking, stop waiting, start living like you're already loved. Because real love won't ask you to dim, delay, or disappear. Say it with me. Say it in the comments right now. I will not shrink for someone else's chaos. Type it out. Show the algorithm. Show the world. Show yourself. Let that sentence become a standard, not just a quote. And if this hit you deep, press that like button. Subscribe. Because next, we're going to explore the hardest truth of all. When it's not fear, not confusion, not timing, but you, your energy, your patterns, and how you might be accidentally pushing them away without knowing it. That's coming up next, and it's going to be raw, but freeing. But for now, write it down, my friend. I will not shrink for someone else's chaos. We move forward, we rise, and we do it with clarity. Number 5, they're reacting to your energy. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Let's bring it home with this one, folks. Let's talk about something that's hard to hear but crucial to understand. Sometimes they pull away because of the energy you're putting out. Not intentionally, not maliciously, but subtly, quietly, emotionally. Let me walk you into a moment. You're with them. You feel close, closer than you've felt to anyone in a long time. You're texting often. You're spending time together. Everything feels good. But suddenly, they shift. Maybe they don't text back as quickly. Maybe they seem distracted. Maybe they mention they need space or feel pressure. And you're left holding 1,000 bricks of confusion, asking, what just happened? Did I say too much? Was I too available, too eager, too real? Now pause. Deep breath. This isn't about blame. This is about awareness. Sometimes when someone senses energy that reminds them of past pain, jealousy, control, neediness, urgency, they instinctively flinch. Even if you don't see it that way, they do. Our nervous systems remember pain like it just happened yesterday. We project, we protect, we pull back. And sometimes they're not reacting to you. They're reacting to your energy. You didn't scream, you didn't beg, you weren't dramatic. But maybe, just maybe, you were emotionally tense. Checking your phone 20 times a day, overthinking every reply, needing reassurance they never offered, worrying that if you don't act just right, they'll slip through your fingers. And you know what? That's okay, because it means you care. But care without self-awareness becomes pressure. It becomes emotional noise, and people, especially people with emotional wounds, can feel it like static in the air. Let me hit you with a metaphor. Imagine walking into a room full of perfume. At first, it smells nice, but the longer you stay, the thicker it gets. The air becomes heavy. You feel suffocated, even though the scent is beautiful. That's what anxious energy feels like to someone who's emotionally sensitive. It's not the words, it's the weight. It's not that your love is too much, it's that your fear is coming with it. So ask yourself, am I moving from grounded self-worth or from fear of losing them? Am I being present or trying to control the outcome? My friends, this is where radical self-honesty kicks in. It's not about shaming yourself, it's about getting real with yourself. Because here's the truth, relational dynamics are co-created. Every relationship is a mirror. Sometimes we draw people in with our light, and sometimes we push them away with our fear. And yes, it hurts, but it's also a chance to wake up. Let me be clear, you are not too much. You are not wrong. But you might be in a pattern where you're constantly chasing emotional certainty, a pattern where silence feels like rejection, a pattern where you're afraid they'll leave unless you constantly prove your value. And that energy, they can feel it. And if they've been hurt before, they will pull back. Not because you're bad, not because they don't like you, but because it reminds them of something they're trying to escape. So what do? You practice self-regulation. You slow down, you breathe, you stop reacting to every shift in their tone or timing. You stop letting their presence or absence determine your self-worth. Because here's what's real. People don't need perfection. They need peace. They need connection that doesn't feel like pressure. They need to feel free in the presence of your affection. And here's where your power lives. You can pause. You can shift, you can grow, you can turn inward and ask, what am I trying to control right now? What am I afraid will happen if I just let things be? Do I trust that what's real will stay, even if I stop managing it? Sometimes the hardest thing to do is nothing, to sit still, to let the silence speak without rushing to fill it. But that silence, it's sacred. It's where your truth is born. Because if they're reacting to your fear, your job is not to chase them. Your job is to face yourself. Face the part of you that believes love has to be earned. Face the part that panics when things feel uncertain. Face the part that overextends, overexplains, overgives. Then tell that part, we are safe now. You no longer need to grip so tightly. You no longer need to prove your worth through performance. Your energy is allowed to be calm, allowed to be steady, allowed to be enough. And if they're still pulling back, maybe they're avoiding, maybe they're projecting, maybe they're not ready. And guess what? That's not yours to carry. You don't need to chase understanding from people who don't communicate. You don't need to keep proving you're safe for someone who keeps testing your emotional weight limit. You don't need to twist into shapes trying to be easier to love. You get to step back, breathe, and say, I choose peace over pressure. Because here's the deal, even if your energy played a role, you can change it. You can anchor yourself. You can show up differently, and the right person, they'll feel that shift. They'll lean in. They'll meet you. The wrong person, they'll still pull away. And that will no longer devastate you. It will free you. So say it with me, right here, right now. Drop it in the comments. I choose peace over pressure. Let that become your mantra. Let that become your compass. You're not here to chase. You're not here to prove. You're here to connect from a place of wholeness. And when you anchor into that version of yourself, calm, grounded, clear, you attract people who are ready. People who can hold you. Press that like button if this one hit you deep. Subscribe, because next we're going to talk about what to do when the signals keep coming, but never evolve, when you're stuck in limbo, and how to finally move forward. But for now, say it again, loud and clear. I choose peace over pressure. Let it echo in the comments. Let it live in your body. Let it guide you into love that's steady, not stormy. You're not too much. You're just ready for someone who doesn't run when it's real. And that starts with you. To wrap this up, my friends, remember this. Love shouldn't feel like chasing clarity in a fog. If someone's signals are confusing, don't lose yourself trying to decode them. Anchor into peace, lead with self-respect, and let others rise to meet you. If this spoke to your heart, drop your favorite affirmation in the comments and share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more real talk healing, and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop of truth. Stay grounded, stay growing, and I'll see you in the next one.